So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for coming to this event, which is not going to be a very flamboyant event. It's going to be something simple. We're going to try to describe what the Executive MBA is and why there might be a reason for you to join it. So in the crowd here, there's a number of faces that I recognize. Some of them are alumni here, which one of the reasons for you to come here is actually to be able to speak with them. So these are people that have tried the EMBA already, and so they can tell you everything, good and bad things about it, mostly good things, otherwise we won't invite them anymore next time. And they won't get the free chips, which is their main reason, I guess, to come. And then a number of new faces, which is positive, because part of what we're trying to do here is make sure that everybody gets to know about what this project is about and why there's a reason for some of you to try and join us. So I'll try to be brief. I would like this to be mostly an opportunity for us to talk informally and exchange ideas and get information, because if this is a decision you need to make it with as little as possible, asymmetric information. You need to know as much as possible about the program so that your decision is going to be well informed and something that you will be happy of even afterwards. There's 4 things that characterize this program, I guess, mostly. And then we'll get more into details. The first thing is, this is a program that tries to combine 2 things that generally are hard to combine. One is global knowledge. We have a bunch of people working in this university who are researchers, well-recognized researchers, in the area of management, various domains of the area of management, and these are people who have an international standing for their research activity, scientific activity, and they are part of our faculty here. And so what they can do is they can bring global knowledge concerning, frontier understandings of what management practice is all about, and bring it here into this very classroom. And here's the second aspect that's always hard to combine with global knowledge, which is we try our very best to create as tight a link as possible with the local business community. So we want to bring global business knowledge to this room and do everything we can to try and use this knowledge to foster economic growth, entrepreneurial growth, and careers of people operating in the business community. So when we will have a look at the class profile of the past editions, and there you will see that most of the people who participate in the Executive MBA are international, but most of the people who participate in the Executive MBA are also operating in the local business, and that's something we are trying our very best to try and continue in that way. And then the other aspect that characterizes this Executive MBA, makes it somewhat unique in the international landscape, is this is a program that, as you can see from the class size here, allows you to be in very small classes. Typically, our programs don't have more than 15 students on, which essentially means that we have a 1-to-1 ratio between professors and students. So for each of us here, there's one of you there. And what that essentially means is that when you become part of this program, you have ample opportunities to develop a close relationship with professors, and that may have and that may have all kinds of hopefully benefits for actually for both sides. But what we care about here is the student side. So most Executive MBA programs, for reasons that are too hard to explain, they need to have at least 30, 35, generally 40 students in the class, and that obviously changes very much the kind of relationship that professors can build with students, and also the kind of relationships that students can build among each other. So there's a lot more of an individualized catering for the needs, the unique needs of each of the students. And I think that's important because, as you guys probably realize, once you make an investment of this kind and you participate in an Executive MBA program, you generally keep working. So you still have your oftentimes full-time job. You sometimes have a family, like wife, husband, children, those things, that wait for you back home and don't change. The requirements don't tend to change because you have started an MBA. And so each of you, in the end, will have all kinds of very specific reasons to want attention from the program, because there will be specific reasons why you need that attention. It's not the same as having master level, bachelor level students. You guys are grown-ups with all kinds of constraints and requirements, and so being in a small class size is very important for us. One question is, well, first of all, why should you think about doing an executive MBA, and why should you do it at USI? I mentioned before that the faculty that we bring here is, at this present time, quite outstanding, I should say, with faculty members coming from most of the best business schools worldwide, such as Harvard, MIT, London Business School, USI in Barcelona, Istituto de Impresa, Bocconi. These are some of the best business schools around, and these are where most of us come from. So this is the kind of technical, let me say, competencies that we can bring to the table. And this is here in Lugano, so it doesn't require people to fly to Dubai or or Boston or anything like that to take the course. The program is designed in a way that allows people to continue to do their work, as tough as it will be, because it will be tough. Because the format, and we will give you more details later, is such that you essentially have to give up a little bit of your weekend time and quite a bit of your evening time when you go back home after work for preparation of courses. But in terms of attending classes, all you do is you go from Thursday to Sunday once a month. Gianluca will tell you more about that. But that essentially means it's generally feasible for people to continue their full-time job while doing the executive MBA. The small class size is something we have talked about already. The idea of doing an executive MBA must essentially be targeted towards two main goals. One is personal growth. If you're interested in this program, that must be because you are thinking that you want to learn something new. And you want to grow somehow, professionally certainly, but also personally. And EMBA, Executive MBA, is a success to the extent that it transforms people, it makes them different. They come in one way, we throw them out, they are somebody else. At least to some extent they have changed. And this is something that we actually think is a measure of the success of the program. We try, as I said before, to combine these local and global aspects, and this is a strategic objective for us. So that is something that you can see also in terms of the networking opportunities that we offer. We have worked quite hard, and we will continue to work hard to develop ties locally. We do already have quite a number of ties internationally to other academic institutions, but also business institutions. Executive MBA is probably, at this point in time, and here I'm not just talking about the one that we offer here at USI, the program that is most useful for people trying to make a step in their career, whether that is making a step inside your organization, or creating your own firm, or moving to a different organization. Of the many academic programs in executive education that are being offered worldwide, the Executive MBA is probably the one that currently is working best, because this is a time where the economic crisis is kicking in, and specialized programs are generally suffering deeply in times of crisis. The Executive MBA, we will get into the details of it in a minute, is a generalist program, or better, it's a trans-specialist program. It teaches you 360 degrees, all areas of management, and in times of crisis, organizations need people with those competencies. And this has become something, the Executive MBA, that in most advanced economies is actually a key component of many of the decision makers in managerial positions. What we try to do is create a win-win situation with, well, certainly between us and you, each of you, but also between you and your employer, if you're not self-employed, in which case it's generally easier. Which essentially means we're trying to create a situation where the value that we try to generate through the program, which is by transferring competencies to you, can be immediately injected into the organization that you work for. And also what we do is we try to have a system where we facilitate this application of competencies in the firm where you work by, for example, having this final project that Gianluca will describe, which is typically something that students, participants, carry out in their own organization and may comprise various things, such as, for example, projects of organizational development inside your organization. So what we try to do is we try to create a situation that's win-win, that creates value for you, and by doing so creates value for your firm. We try to create this value immediately, but at the same time we think that what this investment is meaningful only if it leaves traces forever. So only if you take it as a long-term investment. Our goal is not to simply give you practical tools, you know, like a checklist of things that you need to do when you go back into your firm. Our goal ultimately is to teach you new things, new subjects, and essentially to change the mental models that you use when you make decisions in real life, in your job. And that essentially means developing all kinds of competencies, trans-specialist competencies that allow you to operate across functions, across organizational boundaries, but also helping you to develop critical thinking and having mental models that allow you to be more rigorous in making those decisions. So the effect of this is, of course, long-term. This is not just a short-term approach. We should not have that approach. As a university, we should try to improve, you know, to sort of transfer human capital into people. And as I said before, the way that you should take this, if you're interested in the program, is thinking about this as a moment, an incubator of personal, you know, growth, professional but also personal growth, that will allow you to do things. So I mentioned earlier that one of the metrics that I personally consider critical to, you know, assess the success of the program is to what extent does it change the people who come in. So people come in one way, and what you want to see, I guess, as a director of this program, is you want to see people moving, changing, transforming themselves and learning new things, but also changing the way that they do and see things. And of course it's hard to measure those things, but let me just give you a few examples. This is going to be the 5th edition of the EMBA, and so far more than 20% of the people who came into the EMBA, they came in as an employee and they moved out as an entrepreneur. So they started their own firm through the process. That's a large number. Or everyone is trying to foster entrepreneurship in all kinds of ways, and it's not an easy thing to do because you take risks by becoming an entrepreneur. The program is helping people see opportunities in that direction, and we think that's a very important success factor for us. But also, the people who have worked for us, who have taken this course, but work for other organizations, have generated organizational change of some depth, I would say. So, for example, there have been cases, and part of it has been generated through these final projects that I was mentioning earlier, and Gianluca will talk more about this. Some of our alumni, so students who have taken this program before, they have generated very innovative products. They have been tested and discussed and been part of these final projects in the field of ICT, social media. There's at least a couple of very innovative apps that are now becoming pretty interesting in terms of revenue as well, that have been generated by our alumni, and they have been partly at least fostered through the program. In the packaging industry, green transportation, there's all kinds of things. There also have been examples of people who in their own firm have not necessarily generated new products, but they have fostered transformations inside the firm. So there's been a case of somebody, one of our students, who, as part of his or her project, has actually instituted a new division inside the firm. So this person proposed a structural change in the organization, carried out an analysis of whether and how that would work, and implemented that as part of this project. So these is big changes, you know, that actually hopefully generate value for everybody. And then what has also happened, which I think is interesting as well, is among the entrepreneurs that have been generated through the program, and of course we don't know, maybe they would have been entrepreneurs anyways, even without the Executive MBA, but we hope we have had a role in that. There also has been some cross-hiring of people hiring their own classmates because they learned how to, what their skills were, what their competencies were, and they developed ties, friendship ties, trust ties among each other, which is a very important source of value. So let me give you briefly an idea of who takes this program typically. These are just demographics. And so in terms of sectors, you can see the distribution is very varied, and we will do our very best to keep it such, because the richness of having a class with people from different backgrounds and sectors is incredibly important for the success of these projects and programs. And so we have somebody coming from public administration and non-profit, and then quite a bunch of people coming from the banking sector, not too surprisingly, but also from industry, transportation, software services, electronics. There's a bit of everything in it. Very diversified. The same is concerning the background of people. Sometimes people ask me, can people who have taken a degree in economics do this? Does it make sense? Well, it does. In fact, I think it's the relative majority of us who have who have a degree in economics or business. But you also have people from very different backgrounds, such as computer science, communication science, humanities, law, healthcare, engineering, natural sciences. There's a bit of everything. And once again, we're very actually welcoming diversity, also in terms of disciplinary background of students, because once we do things in class, most of the learning experience actually happens through class discussion. So a lot of what goes on is, this is nothing like a traditional academic program. It's a lot more hands-on, and you will discuss a lot of cases and try to discuss, practical problems from various perspectives. And so that's why it matters a great deal, where the people can look at the same problem from different angles, right? That's very much part of the learning experience. Also in terms of work experience, there's quite a bit of diversity. The Executive MBA program is a program that requires people to have had some degree of work experience, right? So the specific requirements, we can discuss them later, but the general idea is you want people who are currently in a managerial position of whatever level, who have to deal with others in the firm in order, or in the organization, in order to create value, to be a good member of that organization. And you want people who have had at least some degree of experience, because that helps the discussion in class and the transfer of knowledge significantly. So, and this is basically the distribution. Most of the people have, let's say, between 11 and 15 years of experience, but there's no, it's actually by 1%, 5 to 10 years. But let's say between 5 and 15 years, that's the bulk of the class. 70% of the class is between 5 and 15 years of work experience. In terms of age, I don't know that we should disclose that, but just to give you an impression, they're all extremely young, as you can see. Almost as young as I am. So, I think I want to, pass on the floor to Gianluca. Gianluca, the other Gianluca.
Who else is Gianluca in the classroom? Do we have any other Gianlucas?
So we have
Only two.
Yeah. Now, let's see how the feature and the characteristics and the objective that Gianluca mentioned before are reflected in the course structure. The course is organized part-time, for sure, or full-time, and has a duration of 18 months. And we meet every month for 4 days. Thursday, 10 o'clock, till Sunday, 12:30. And this for 14 months. And at the end of this period, together participant and tutor will work on the final project, which is very important because it's one of the big value that you can create for yourself and transfer to your organizations, or can be the basis for your future enterprise if you want to just a way of passing 3 months. I think we created a lot of value to the final project. That's what I think about maybe our mechanical support. The 14 modules are divided into okay, this is the schedule. Are organized into core courses and some special courses. So we have 10 core courses which cover, as Gianluca says, all the topics in management, plus some topics that are needed to as a tool of decision making, like for instance statistics and quantitative making. Not typical managerial topics, but is needed to improve your rigor, the level of rigorousness when you take a decision. And so we break the ice starting in quantitative, but to compensate a bit, we banded quantitative method with organizational behavior. So we basically decided to create this kind of assemblage of something a bit harder and something a bit softer every month. So every month we have a topic which is more based on figures, numbers, etc., and a topic which is based more on interpersonal relationships. So this is more or less it. So we have quantitative method and organizational behavior. Then we have accounting together with marketing, economics together with human resource management, finance and strategy, and operations and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, which is mainly aimed at corporate entrepreneurship, so how to make your organization more entrepreneurial. That is a fact that 1 out of 5 decide to move out and start up their own company. We are happy because we think entrepreneurship is important for the society, but the course was not designed to produce this kind of result. Now, the 4 special courses are voted by students. So every year we organize a voting contest where you can decide, when we try to create a certain consensus, but you decide which course you would like to have in this final part of the program. And so you can select 4 special courses. Clearly, we provide you with a list of possibilities, but you may have your own ideas on that, and then we vote, and then we decide, and then the vote, the election will decide which course we will run at the end of the program. Just to give you an example of what has been decided for the previous edition, these are some courses that have been voted and taken by our students in the previous edition. You see here again there is a mix, a good mixture of good variety of courses, a bit more quantitative, and courses that are a bit more on the human side of management, relational side of management. Okay, those courses will be running. Okay, now let me give a look to the faculty, the current faculty of the. Huh? No, sorry. Perché c'è il dedo confuso. No, I think one important aspect that Gianluca mentioned is the fact that we try to create a strong relationship with the business community, mainly with the local business community. And one of the tools we use to improve our relationship with the business community is the advisory board. In the advisory board, we welcome some of the key figures in the Ticino and nearby business community. So there are some, many of them are from Ticino, but there are also someone that are, for instance, Giorgio Brenner, in fact, is the president of the Swiss Chamber of Commerce, but in Milan, so with a network that goes into the Lombardy Maurizio Camponuovo was the chairperson of HR Ticino, so which is the organization that us and put together most of the HR manager in the area. And then we have some industrialists, some bankers. One person that I was particularly interesting for us is Jean-Pierre Petrazzini, because he's a senior partner of Aegon's End, one of the largest and most known search company worldwide, and it is based in Geneva. So we think it's a small group of prominent people that help us directing the program and help our students improving their relationship with their networking. I think that's all. But I imagine that many questions can be
So a lot of information can of course be found
yeah,
in
on the web or to us.